Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a blessed day. Welcome back to my channel. It's Renee. And today we are going to veer ahead just a tad. This morning in one of my groups, one of the ladies did an impromptu live on the Plumb Line that is mentioned in Amos. And so our work for today was to work on this plumb line. So I figured if I was going to work on it, I might as well show you all what I am doing. So those of you who aren't in the same groups or whatever, or working along with me, you can journal this as well if you would like. It was just an impromptu this morning, really focusing on getting our focus on Christ. And, you know, with everything going on in the world, it was much needed this morning. And sometimes we need to kind of get our focus back. And so that's kind of what this is all about. Yeah. So we are going to be in Amos chapter 7, verse 7 through 9. Amos is getting, again, he's a prophet. He's getting some visions from the Lord. And this vision is about a plumb line. And if you don't know what a plumb line is, this is kind of a picture of one. It's what carpenters would use to put things straight, right? So the third vision says, he showed me this, he being, the Lord. Thus the Lord was standing there by a vertical wall with a plumb line in his hand. The Lord asked me, "What do you see, Amos?" And I replied, "A plumb line." Then the Lord said, "I am setting a plumb line among my people Israel. I will no longer spare them. Isaac's high places will be deserted, and Israel's sanctuaries will be in ruins. I will rise up against the house of Jeroboam, with a sword." So essentially, the plumb line, he's standing by a straight wall, and God has got the plumb line in his hand. It's God's plumb line. Like, there is right and wrong God's way. It doesn't matter what the world says. It doesn't matter what's going on around you. We need to just stay calm and realize that it's God's line that we are supposed to be living by. So today I am just doing a very simple page. I got this image off Google. If you go under clip art, Plumb Line clip art, this is one of the pictures that came up, and I like it. And I'm just imagining this is God's hand holding the plumb line, and the plumb line shows what it does is this is like a big stone or iron piece or whatever, and gravity holds it straight up and down. So when you're holding it, gravity makes this line perfectly straight. So it doesn't matter what the world says. It doesn't matter what your friends say. It doesn't matter what anybody says. All that matters is what God says is right and wrong. And we need to be living according to that. So I printed this out just on regular copy paper. And I am going to put this under here and literally just trace it. Or just copy it. So I'm going to grab my pencil. Let me grab one with an eraser just in case. Okay. And I am just gonna outline this. This is just, I'm just lightly outlining this and just kind of sketching it in. And you can do this either with a light box. You can do this with the carbon paper that I've showed you before. You can see it pretty well through this. So I'm just going to do it this way. Makes it quick, fast. And I am just literally just kind of outlining the shadows, just briefly, So the finger goes here. So if you don't feel like you can draw, this is a great way to get an image on, at least a general outline. So then you can kind of go in and then add your own little style to it. Or, copy it as is. Okay, I'm going to use my ruler here because I want these lines to be straight, because the whole purpose of this is to have straight lines. And so this line, whoops, did I just shift my... Okay, so this is going to come down here to here. a little something in my ruler here. Let's fix this. Even using a ruler, my lines aren't straight, y'all. We'll get it there. Thank God it's not my plumb line, that it's the Lord's. Because a lot of times we think we're doing right, but if we go back to the Word, we realize God's Word says something totally different. So but hopefully y'all are staying in an upbeat mode. I know 2021 is not going like many of us thought, which I had an idea, you know, like it's not gonna just, you know, end like that. But there you go. Look at that. Like all of a sudden you've got the picture on your page. So, and you can keep this here as a reference. So I'll leave this here because we're gonna look at that as reference. I did grab my Tim Holtz stencil here. Let me grab my makeup brush here. And let's see, I've got Walnut Stain and what's this one? Vintage Photo. So in the background here, and let me get my plastic. Since it says he was standing by a wall, I want to kind of put in a wall. So I'm just gonna randomly put some of this stencil around, and I'm gonna kind of mix both colors, have some darker spots. I might have to get a darker brown too. Let me see if I have my inks here. So I've got this Gathered Twigs. This is a little bit darker, so let's see how much darker it is. Yeah, okay. So I am going to use oops, I think that's in his, yep, I don't need to do it there because that's in his sleeve. Yeah, I'm just kind of just randomly putting the wall because he was like I said, he was standing in front of this wall. Let's see. I like having these different shades. It gives it a little bit more dimension when you're using, see, different shades like that. Let's put some down here at the bottom. And some. And the harder you press, again, you'll get darker, you know, ink, and the more you go over it. And then like as I go up, I'm lightening so I'm pressing dark at the bottom, and then as I go up, I'm going lighter and lighter, so it kind of fades out, but you still have a little bit of an impression going on. And finally, let's put some over here. I want kind of a dark spot over here. Let's put some here, kind of attach those two. Okay, so easy peasy, just like that. So you've got some dark spots, some light spots. But it said he was standing in front of a straight wall. So let's just move all that. That's easy. And now all I'm gonna go in and do, this is a very, very simple page. I was just gonna take my black pen and literally, you know what? This is bothering me right here. Before I finish talking, I'm going to go in and do, I want this to, let's get a little bit. I want the wall to kind of make sure it's going there. I want it, I just didn't like having that white line down there. Okay, going back to what I was saying. I am just going to take my black pen and kind of like this picture shows, I am just going to go in and do like a black line drawing. So we're gonna keep this very, very simple. And I'm just kind of scratching in the shades and the folds and such. So it's not like this perfect drawing, but and I'm gonna kind of go in and just do a little bit of shading, just kind of like the picture shows. And the thing with a black pen, if you ever want to do this, when you do lines like this, that'll add like the images of shading. You could do this with a pencil, you could do this with colored pencil. And the more you go over it, the darker the lines will be. You could do like hashtag type crosshatch drawing, you know, lines to add the shading in. But it's like kind of coloring with a pen. And the more, like I said, the more you go over it, the darker the shadows will be. Just kind of scribble it in. And just like that, you're getting the shading, the shadowing, the little folds in the and the lighter you go up like that, it kind of fades out. And then you kind of, so the harder you press your pen, the more of a distinct line you'll get. It's hard for me to draw right here on the edge because I have no place to rest my hand. But this kind of gives me the outline to follow. Let's put the folds in his hand. Okay, and then shadowing. And there y'all go. My stomach is starting to growl. Soon as we go on camera, my stomach's like, oh, it's lunchtime. No, no, it's not. It's not even near lunchtime yet. It's hilarious. It's just like, just a given. But y'all, I hope, you know, with everything going on in the world, just remember God's in control. And I'm telling this to myself as well. Like I'm reminding myself as well. And that, you know what, no matter what happens, I mean, God's in control no matter what happens. And we don't need to be fearful or worried or whatever, because God knew all this was going to happen. He knew that, you know, he knows the affairs of what's going on. He knows what people are thinking. He knows everything. he knows way more than we are even aware of at this point. So I just, you know, I'm just trusting that it'll all work out. And I'm still praying, Lord, come back soon. Come back soon, please. But until then, we are to live according to his word. And that's what this plumb line is signifying. So just live according to his word and know that if you're doing that, you're doing everything that you're called to do. So right now I'm just kind of putting in the shading. I'm looking at the picture as I do this to kind of, you know, and I'm looking at my fingers. Where do the, you know, shadows lie? And, you know, when other fingers are over these fingers, you know, it casts a shadow. Let's see. So, you know, when your hands are like this, get the little shadows under here. This is a great way to practice drawing. For those of you who say, I can't draw, or, you know, just outline something like this, trace it, and then kind of go in and give it your own little flair to it, I guess. You can do this with colored pencils. I am just doing a black and white pen because I really wanted this one to be kind of simple, knowing that kind of black and white, like, you know, it's God's way, you know, there's really no other way that's the right way. So black and white, you know, if you want to live according, you can live according to God's way or the world's way. That's up to you. This is what I mean by hash marks. You know, kind of like hashtags like this. You crisscross marks, you cross your marks like that, and that'll give you a darker look. If you want to just do lines like this, that'll give you like a little shaded look. So this is how you can do shades and shadows with just a pen. And like I said, you can use colored pencils if you want. So I'm just doing this very quickly and just kind of playing around with it a little bit. And depending on which way you pull your lines, it'll show the curves and such in whatever it is that you're trying to shadow. So if you want it to go kind of this way, pull your lines, you know, like on an angle like this way, it'll show that's the way that the skin's pulling or the shadow's moving or what have you, and vice versa. I don't know if that's helping y'all at all or not, but so right here I'm just doing some lines across this way. I'm pressing real light. Kind of curving the lines. And look at that, like right away you have a hand, yay! A lot of people say they hate drawing hands or faces or what have you. This is a way I've found that kind of takes the scariness away from it. You can just trace like a main image and then you can just go in and darken certain areas up. If you know that certain areas have more shadows than others, you can darken them up. Let's see here. And that gives you a little bit more dimension too when you go in and add a little bit of there you go. I just want some more little folds in the Okay, so where did my, I'm gonna put on this side. Okay, let's see if we can get this to work, y'all. We want this to be straight because it's the plumb line. Yay. It's got like a little loop-de-doop there and a little thing here, and then this is just the end of the string. Okay. But I hope you're all having a very blessed day, even though it seems like the world is going crazy. I mean, it's just so sad. It's really, really sad. Yeah, but God's in control, and we just need to stay calm and know that He knows what's going on. It didn't catch Him by surprise. We'll all be fine. And so that's what this plumb line is really representing, that just live by His word. Live straight by His word. Okay, so this kind of, again, I'm looking at this picture here. So the rope comes around like this a little bit. It comes down here. And kind of goes down here. Again, I'm just making like a little sketch. Easy peasy. Following my outline here. This is the little metal hook that the rope is tied to. You can go online and actually see actual plumb. A lot of plumb lines. A lot of carpenters use these still to this day. A lot of them have some chalk on them that they pull, like it might be like a string, and then they pull, and then the chalk line shows where the line should be on the, where the straight line should go, for people maybe putting up tile or wallpaper or what have you. I mean, I'm sure you've seen people use those. That's just an updated version of a plumb line. I'm just putting some shadows here because shadows would fall on these little ropes hanging here. So just little hashtag marks right there, little shadows, some shadows on this. Okay, and then this is the actual iron piece or metal piece that hangs. And usually it ends in a point. This is an old-fashioned one. So now I'm just doing little lines down the side to kind of signify shadows. You could color it in if you want. This is considered like a line drawing where you're using lines, but you can definitely use your marker and, color it in. So here I'm going to use lines across, and then I'm going to put some darker. Here's where like the highlight is, where this, the sun is shining, or it's, that's the highlighted part, the lighted area. And you always have the darker part, so I'm just going to kind of do little squiggles down the darker part. And this is how you can kind of make it look kind of, three-dimensional a little bit. Well, and there you have it. There's our drawing. Easy peasy. Actually. Again, stand back, look at your drawing, look at things and see if there's anything that stands out at you. I like to stand back and see if I missed a spot or something like that. Okay, so the other thing I was going to use was my my pen that I showed you all. If you haven't seen the video on this, I'm going to be using some watercolor. So first thing I'm going to do, I want this to be straight. So I think what I'll do is I'll put like some light pencil lines on here, and I can go back in and erase them when it's all dry. Just so I have something to kind of follow. I've had a couple people ask me how to use this pen. I showed it on my video. I'll show you again. You just gotta kind of practice with it and play with it. So you're gonna take, I'm using watercolor. You could take ink or anything. I'm gonna grab my paper towel. So you're gonna load up your pen. So I'm going to use like kind of this terracotta color and this other brown, and I know I'm mixing them and it probably drives people nuts, but I do that. And then you're gonna load your pen up with the color. Not too much water, but just enough water to get it flowing, I guess. So I'm gonna kind of put some darks in areas, so like it's gonna be like terracotta and dark at the same time. Okay, so then you're gonna hold your pen, so I've got it loaded with color, you can see that. Then you're gonna hold it up like this to get the water flowing. Now see, when you hold it up like that, you get these drips. That's why I like to either use, did you see the drip right here? It dripped down. So I like to hold it up and get rid of like those major drips first. So I'll even put it on a paper towel like this to get rid of the drips, so you don't have like this huge plop on your page. And then when you're writing, I still keep this with me just in case, because sometimes it'll drip. At least that's what I found. And then when I'm writing, you kind of hold it on an angle. So I'm trying to think what I wanted to write. I had it here. Okay, so God's plumb line keeps me straight and true is what I want to write. So you don't even have to press it very hard. God's. And see how this is on an angle? And you can turn the pen every once in a while if you need to, because it's in swirls and the paint is kind of going around the swirls. So what did I say? God's plumb line. Keeps me okay. And then if you run out, which I probably shouldn't, but I didn't put, ooh, that's a little bit too much water, because that'll come off on my pen. So just reload your pen, because I'm going pretty slow here. So, and again, hold it up and kind of let it like settle. And you can see there's like a drip coming down. Not too bad on this one. Okay. And this one I am going to do capital letters. How do you spell straight? S-T-R-A-I-G-H-T, right? S-T-R-A-I. When I'm looking at a word for a while, I'm like, is that how you spell it? I'm going very slow, y'all, but you don't have to go this slow. So God's plumb line keeps me straight and true. And then a question I like to ask myself that I really, you know, when I'm doing this, am I living by God's spiritual standard? So this is a question I'm asking myself, and this, I want this page to remind me is, I'm going to do this in cursive. I might be running out again. Maybe not. Am I living? By God's spiritual standard of measure. Nope, I think I'm running out. No, there we go. Depends how you hold the pen. I'm still practicing and still learning. And then you can just kind of dip your pen in the water when you're done and rinse it off. It's so cool. I mean, I love it. Okay, so there we go. There's our page, and I'm gonna date it. Let's see. Where's my ink? We'll just do walnut stain, and let me grab my, and I'll erase. I'll wait till this dries a little, and then I'll go in and erase those lines. So what is today's date? Today is the 7th. Let's make sure we got it right. Okay, I'm not sure if that's going to, I need a darker ink, because I don't think that's going to show up. Oh yeah, that one will show up good. Okay, we need to get this cleared off, cleaned off real quick. Got too much ink on it. Okay. Come on, we can do this. Okay, there we go. Where should we put the date? Just down here, I guess. There we go. And there's the page. So let's move this. Thank y'all for joining me, and maybe this will just give you something to think about today and to work on. God's plumb line keeps me straight and true. And are you living by God's spiritual standard of measure? It doesn't matter about the world's, doesn't matter what people are telling you. All that matters is God. So here is the picture up close. All it is just a pen and ink picture and some stenciling. There you go. Thank you all so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. We're going to go back to, I'm going to finish out Hosea, and then we'll start working on some of our other journaling pages, and I'll be doing some other projects along the way as well. So I will see you in the next video. Bye, y'all.